Today, we are going to introduce you to the crochet method of our little octopus. You'll get a pink octopus with a bow and a blue octopus with a hat. Let's follow the steps together. Take out the blue yarn. Next, we will start to draw the octopus part. Stretch out your left hand and we start winding. Pull the yarn and wrap it around your pinky first. Then around the index finger. And finally around the middle finger. Cross the yarn ends and press with your thumb. One more time. Cross and overlap around the little finger to the index finger. And finally to the middle finger. Get out of our crochet hooks. Start the needle where our middle finger is, with the hook facing down, pulling through the loop. Pull out. Then wind the yarn upward from the bottom of the straightened yarn. This is a standing needle. It cannot be considered a crochet stitch. Then we continue to go in from this entrance. Wrap the yarn from the bottom to the top and pull it out. Winding the yarn upward from the bottom of the straightened yarn. Hook the yarn with the hook and pull it back. This is our first single stitch. It has a V shape. Take out a marker button to mark. This is the first stitch of our first loop. Now continue crocheting. The first round needs to crochet 6 stitches. Start crocheting the second stitch. Same method as the first shot. This is the second single crochet. Continue to crochet the third stitch. This is the third single crochet. The fourth single crochet. The fifth single crochet. The sixth single crochet. We are done with our 6 short stitches on the first loop. Let's count the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now to tighten the coils. Pull on the short side of the yarn and tighten it. On the last stitch, we'll make a marker button. Now we'll continue with the second loop. The second loop is 6 increasing stitches. 2 stitches in a crochet stitch is an increase. Now remove the marker button from the first stitch. Works into the first stitch of the first loop. Wrap the yarn from the bottom to the top and pull it out. Wind the yarn upward from the bottom of the straightened yarn. Hook the yarn with the hook and pull it back. This is our first single stitch. Still make a marker button on the first stitch. Now work in the same place where you just worked in the first stitch. Enter the crochet needle and crochet another stitch in the same way. Now, you have now completed the first increased stitch. In the next stitch, continue with our second increasing stitch. Still crocheting to single crochets in one stitch. One single crochet. Two single crochets. Now, you have now completed the second increased stitch. Next, complete the next 4 double crochet stitches in the same way. Now for the last stitch of the first loop, remove the marker button. Complete the last set of double crochet stitches. This completes the second loop of crochet. If the center of the circle is too big, tighten the yarn a little more. Let's count the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we have completed the 6 increased stitches for the second loop. That's 12 single crochets. Still make a marker button on the last stitch. For the third round, we need to keep adding stitches. 1 single crochet, 1 increased as a group. That's 18 stitches in 6 rounds. Now remove the marker button from the first stitch. Crochet a single crochet here in the first stitch. Hook the yarn with the hook and pull it back. Wrap the yarn from the bottom to the top and pull it out. Now we've completed the first single crochet in the first group. Still make a marker button on the first stitch. In the next stitch, complete a group of double crochet stitches. 2 stitches in a crochet stitch is an increase. Now we have completed a group, SC, ink. Continue with the remaining 5 groups. Now for the last stitch of the third round. Remove the marker button. Complete an increase. Now we have completed the last stitch of the third round. That's a total of 18 stitches for the third round. 1 single crochet, 1 increased as a group. That's 18 stitches in 6 rounds. Now remove the marker button from the first stitch. 2 single crochets, 1 increased as a group. Now we have completed the 6 increased stitches for the third round. That's a total of 18 stitches for the third round. Now we start the fourth round. We'll take a single stitch, an increase, and a single stitch. This is a group. Cycle 6 groups. Remove the marker button. A single stitch. Still make a marker button on the first stitch. An increased stitch. A single stitch. Now we have completed a group. SC, ink, SC. Continue with the remaining 5 groups. Now we have completed the last stitch of the 4th round. The 4th loop is completed, a total of 24 stitches. The 5th to 7th rounds are the same, all 24 single crochet stitches, no increase, no decrease. The 5th round is complete. The 6th loop is complete. The 7th round is complete. Now 24 stitches. Now we ray on to the 8th loop. We're going to decrease the stitches in the 8th loop. 1 single crochet, 1 decreasing stitch, 1 single stitch for a group, 8 times. A single crochet. This centralized means combining 2 stitches into one, because it's on the outer surface of the crochet fabric. For aesthetic reasons, we use invisible decreases under the front loops of the next 2 stitches. What are front loops? The side of the V that is closer to you is called the front loop. The crochet hook goes into the first front loop only. Hook in, continue into the second front loop only. Wrap the yarn around and pull it out. Continue around the yarn and pull out. This completes our first decreased stitch. The 3rd stitch is a single crochet. This completes our first setup. SC, deck, SC. Continue with the remaining 7 groups. Last stitch of the 8th loop is complete. That's a total of 18 stitches. For the 9th loop, we need to complete 4 single stitches, 1 decrease, 6 single stitches, 1 decrease, 4 single stitches. The total number of stitches is 16. Continuing with our 10th loop. For the 10th loop, we'll just crochet the back loop only. The back loop only is inside the half V stitch. The front loop only we need to leave out. In the back to crochet the tentacles of the octopus. like this. Start crocheting from the inside half of the stitches. Wrap the yarn and pull it out. For the 10th loop, enter each stitch like this. For the 10th round, we'll work 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, 1 single crochet in groups of 4. Next is a decrease. The decreases here are non-invisible decreases, unlike the previous invisible decreases. Into the crochet hook, loop the yarn, pull it out. There are now 2 loops in the crochet hook. Continue into the next stitch. Wrap the yarn, pull out. There are now 3 loops in the crochet hook. Wrap the yarn, pull it out. This completes a non-invisible decrease stitch. Because it is in the inner layer of the crochet fabric, we don't need to think about aesthetics, but more about convenience. Next is a single crochet. The first set of SC, deck, SC, done. Continue with the remaining 3 groups. The 10th loop is complete, and it's fantastic. Counting the stitches, there are now 12 stitches left. Now you can add the filling cotton. Take out our filling cotton and stuff it in small quantities. Adjust the filling as you go to keep it balanced until it looks like a ball. Squeeze it with your hands to keep the elasticity. Now it's time for the last loop of the body, a total of 6 decreased stitches. Crochet in the front loop only of the stitches. For aesthetic reasons, we use invisible decreases. Reduce 2 stitches to 1. The remaining 5 decreases are done in turn. Leave 10 centimeters of yarn waiting to be stitched. Pull the yarn out with the crochet hook. Thread the yarn through the suture needle. We can see a small hole in the center of the circle. Now let's close it, still using the front loop only. We're going to pass the needle through each front loop only in turn. Each time you pull the yarn out, pull it tight. Six stitches in all. Don't cut the rest of the yarn. Let's hide it in its body. Starting from the center of the circle. Pull the yarn out from the side of the body. Once again, this makes it less likely that our yarn will escape. Pull out the yarn and cut it close to the body. Be careful not to cut into the body of the octopus. Pinch the body and adjust it so the yarn head is invisible. Great! The main body is finished. Now it's time to finish its tentacles. Start from the first front loop only of the 10th loop. There are 16 stitches. We need to crochet 8 tentacles. That's 1 tentacle every 2 stitches. Take out the yarn. Pull the yarn out with the crochet hook, or just pull the yarn out and manually tie a knot. First, we need to crochet 10 chain stitches in the first stitch. The chain stitch is easy to crochet. Just wrap the yarn around the crochet hook and pull it out. The first chain stitch is completed. Add the marker button. Continue with the remaining 9 chains. The second one. The third. The 10th chain stitch is finished. Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wrap the yarn around. For double crochets, always remember to wind the yarn first, then insert the needle. Now we're going to go back and start the doubles crochet in the 3rd stitch. Enter the stitch from the 3rd chain stitch. Wrap the yarn and pull out. Now we have 3 loops on our crochet hook. Wrap the yarn around and pull out the first 2 loops. Continue to wind yarn, pulling out all the loops. Add the marker button. This completes our first double crochet. There are 8 double crochets in all. Go ahead and wind the yarn first. Enter the needle at the next stitch. Wrap the yarn and pull out. Now we have 3 loops on our crochet hook. Wrap the yarn around and pull out the first 2 loops. Continue to wind yarn, pulling out all the loops. Now the second double crochet is done. Continue with the remaining 6 double crochet stitches as you have just done. Now the 8th double crochet is done. Count them to see if the number is right. Remove the marking button. Okay, the first tentacle is done. Now we need to attach it to the body. We'll skip a stitch and insert the needle in the 3rd stitch. Make a slip stitch. Wrap the yarn and pull all the loops straight out. Let's move on to the second tentacle. We're still going to start with 10 chain stitches. Wrapping the yarn around. Starting with the 3rd chain stitch, crochet a double crochet stitch that. When you finish the last tentacle, make a slip stitch on the 1st stitch. Leave about 10 millimeters of yarn and cut it. Pull the yarn out with the crochet hook. Take our yarn needle and thread the thread through it. Hide the extra yarn in the body as before. Now the body part of Zuzu, the octopus, is complete. Looks good, doesn't it? Now let's crochet his eyes. Take out the white yarn. Wrap it around your fingers and start making the magic ring. That's 8 single stitches. Into the crochet hook, wrapping the yarn around it. Hook a standing stitch. This is not the first stitch. Continue around the yarn and pull it out. The first single crochet is done. Go ahead and finish the rest. Tighten the loop. Now the white part of one eye is done. Leave 10 millimeters of yarn and cut it. Do the same with the other one. Don't pull the center of the circle too tight. Leave a little space for the eyes. Next, let's start making the hat. Finish it off with pink yarn. And the same thing working into a magic ring. Make 8 single crochets. Tighten the loop. Leave no space. For the second loop, we'll just crochet the black loop only. Starting with the back half stitch, we'll crochet 8 single crochets. Crochet the short sides of the yarn together for a few stitches. This will hide it in the crochet. The second loop of the hat is done. For the third loop, we'll just crochet the first half stitch. That's the half stitch closer to our body. That's 8 increases. Remember the increasing stitches? That's just single crochets in one stitch. The last stitch is done. Leave 20 millimeters of yarn for sewing. Take the sewing needle and put on the yarn. Cut off the excess thread on the other side. Now make an invisible slip stitch at the end of the hat. Skip one stitch and start with the second one. Tighten the thread and start halfway through the last stitch. Flatten the yarn. There will be no trace of stitching. Next, we crochet the bow. Take out the blue yarn. We'll start in the same magic ring. Make a standing stitch. Next are 3 chain stitches. Here's a double crochet. Wrap the yarn. Pull out the first 2 loops. Wrap the thread again and pull out all the loops on the crochet hook. Continue with a double crochet. Next are 2 chain stitches. Slip stitch. Next are 2 chain stitches. 2 double crochets. Two chain stitches. Slip stitch. Tighten the yarn. Leave about 15 millimeters of yarn. Cut it. Wrap the long yarn around the center twice. Then tie a knot on the back. The bow is ready. Next, let's sew the eyes. Put on the yarn with an invisible knot. Cut off the short sides of the yarn ends. Keep the long side for sewing to the body. Attach the eyes. Insert the bolt directly into the hole in the center of the circle. Take out the body of the octopus. Insert safety eyes between loops 6 and 7. Spacing them 5 stitches apart. The white yarn goes through the blue body and back through the white eye edge. Sew a circle along the edge of the whites of the eyes. Once you've done that, hide the excess yarn inside the body. Cut off the exposed ends of the yarn. In the process of stitching, the eye may fall out. Put it back on. Next, we're gonna sew up his hat. Sew the hat on the left part of the top of the head. Suture it around the body. Insert the needle along the sunken edge of the hat. Keep the rest of the yarn inside. Cut off excess yarn ends. Pinch the body and the yarn ends are out of sight. In the same way, sew the bow on the head of the small pink octopus. Cut off excess yarn ends. Adjust the thread. The pink octopus is done. So good! That's the end of Zuzu's tutorial. See you next time!